Hey Grammar 6, it's Mrs. Bunker here. Happy Monday. So we're going to be doing lesson 100. But if you look at your screen, you'll see that it says lesson 121, adding integers. So this is the best book that I could find on the internet that is the equivalent of Saxon Math 7-6. And it's all the same stuff in front of you. It's just from 1997, and a bunch of the chapters are a little different than yours as far as like how they are ordered. So everything is the same in here. So I'm going to teach from this today because all the content that you'll see here literally is the same that's in your book. Just it's a really old edition. So that was a really long explanation for why this looks different. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys spent a ton of time outside because it was gorgeous. I know we all can't really go anywhere, so I hope you did something fun around the house and practice social distancing. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about today. So hopefully you guys have done your facts practice and your mental math warm-up. If you haven't, go ahead and stop that or stop this recording and do that, and then let's hop back on to here when you're done. Okay, but let's go ahead and start talking about algebraic addition of integers. So recall from previous lessons that an integer is all of the counting numbers and their negatives and the number 0. Any number that has a fraction or basically any number that falls between whole numbers would not be considered an integer. So today we're going to practice adding integers. And of course, you're going to see positive and negative numbers all around you. If you look at the example here, you have a thermometer, and you know that when you are decreasing in value, that can be represented by a negative. So a drop in temperature would be -5 or -5 from whatever your original temperature was. But let's say here that we fall 5 degrees and then we fall another 5 degrees. Then what we're going to do here is we know that we have fallen a total of 10 degrees negative. We're moving farther away from 0 on the number line. So negatives are below 0 to the left, positives are greater than 0 in quantity, and they are to the right. So here's another different situation here. It says imagine, again, the starting temperature is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. First, the temperature falls 5 degrees. We would notate that by -5. Next, the temperature rises 5 degrees. We would notate that by +5. This brings the temperature back to 0. The numbers -5 and +5 are opposites. When we add opposites, the sum is 0. So that's a really important concept here because when we start solving equations, we need to know what the opposite of every number is because we're going to use that a ton in algebra. So let's look at this right here. It says if the temperature rises 5 degrees, we'd notate that by +5 from 0, and then falls 10 degrees, the temperature will fall through 0 to 5 degrees below 0. So you have 5 degrees here, but then it fell -10, or it fell 10 degrees. Well, since 5 is only worth 5 from 0, when we go 10 below 5, we're going to go past 0 on the number line. So take it, for example, here. Here we are at 5. If we drop 10 degrees, we're going to end all the way at -5 because that is a difference of 10 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's an example. So look at this number line right here. We have +8 plus -5. So +8 is 8 integers or 8 spots away from 0. If we then add -5, it's like we're going back 5 and we're going to end at +3. Let's turn the page. Oh, and this is important to note. It says the sum is +3, which we write as 3. We assume all numbers are positive unless there's a negative sign to the left. So example 2 is we're at -5 plus -3. So again, using that number line, if we're at -5 and we're adding -3, we're moving 3 places farther away from 0, we're going to end up at -8. And we would say that the sum is -8. So here, what about this? -6 plus 6. If we're at -6 and we add 6, then we're going to return to 0. And this right here would be its opposite. So example 4, we have +6 plus -6. So sometimes positive and negative numbers are written with parentheses. And the only reason why we do this sometimes is just to differentiate the sign here from the sign of the number. So we know that positive 6 plus a negative 6, as we said above, the solution is 0. So you have a couple more examples on your page. You have example 5, which is find the opposite of each number. And we talked about the opposite of a number is the opposite side of 0 on the number line. So if you have negative 7, the opposite of that would be positive 7. If you have positive 10, the opposite would be negative 10. It is on the opposite sign of 0, same distance from 0. So then example 6 says simplify, which just means to make simple, and it's negative 10 minus negative 6. So this one, if we were on the board, I would show you. Actually, I'll pull up my web whiteboard right now. Hold on. All right, so I pulled up my web whiteboard. So I want to show you this. So if you have negative 10 and you're subtracting a negative 6, we want to simplify this, and we're going to rewrite this. We know that when we have two negatives, when we are subtracting a negative, we can rewrite the sign as negative 10 plus 6. So we know that the difference, or the sum of negative 10 plus 6 is going to be negative 4. And then finally we have example 7. It says negative 3, it's in parentheses, minus, what do we got here? Positive 5. All right, so there's nothing really to simplify here because we know that when we rewrite this, it would be negative 3 plus negative 5. Anytime you subtract a positive number, it is the same as adding a negative. So negative 3 plus negative 5 is going to be negative 8. All right, so guys, go ahead and do your lesson practice, so A through H. And if this is something that you're just having a bit of a tricky time with, I bet you if you go on the back of your Saxon textbook, there is, yep, on page 686, page 686, there are supplementary problems on this concept because it is such an important concept that you need to know and understand. And if you don't understand this, please reach out to myself or a parent so that we can explain it better or in greater detail. Okay, guys, have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.